Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about the quantum mechanics of being in the receiving mode, and Abraham Hicks talks about the spirituality behind it. We all want to be there. We all want to be in that place where we're just receiving gift after gift after gift. Our realities are just so full of abundance. And we find it sometimes. We just don't want to fall out of it. We want to be able to stay in it. Such an interesting question, like how do we stay in it? I'm Kristin Collier with Collier Connections, and I'm a writer and I'm a coach that supports people in accessing their natural capacity for joy. And today I am definitely doing that. I am canoe camping out in the Cascade Lakes. And yesterday I definitely had the opportunity to practice the skills and will behind being and coming back again and again into the receiving mode. So it started like this. In the morning, I primed myself for having a day. I laid in bed and I put my hand on my heart. I breathed into my heart and I primed myself to have awe and wonder, wonder in the day. And I also imagined my need for fun being met, and abundance, and just feeling into what it feels like when those needs are met, how alive I feel when I experience the world as being so abundant and so much fun. So I just enjoyed that sensation for a while, which was already a benefit to my day, right? And then I watered the garden and grabbed my blended organic coffee and a burrito and hit the road. Also very sweet experience. And was driving along looking at this beautiful landscape. Hey, Chippy. And the mountains and the lakes. And I was meeting a friend at 3:30 at the lake. And I got a text from him at 3:15 saying, "On the road, see you soon." And I wondered, does that mean that you just got on the road? So I texted him that question, didn't receive a response, probably he was out of range, but I had no idea at that point, and I was just arriving at my campsite, whether I would have time to go for a paddle before he arrived, or I should just wait in case he meant that he would be there very soon. I just wasn't sure. And so this is one of those junctures, right, where I could have fallen out of the receiving mode. I was like ecstatic, rocking out on the way here. I was having such a great time. But here I could have gone off into, I'm not sure. I wish I knew. I want to be in choice about what I do with my time. And now I'm not quite clear because I don't have this, this communication. But instead, I went into a totally different direction. I already had that momentum of being in that receiving mode, of the fun that I was having and coming here. And I just, in that momentum, was able to place my attention on other ways that my needs were met in the moment. And so, oh my goodness, as I pulled into my campsite, I saw somebody who I hadn't seen for 20 years. And mind you, this is 2.5 hours from my house. And she said, "Is this your campsite?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, I'm just resting here, but let me show you around." And she showed me this trail behind it that went out to this gorgeous dock where people from the campsite could actually put their canoes and they could launch right there. And I thought I was going to have to drive 10 minutes with my canoe strapped to the top of my vehicle to launch. So I was so happy and it was so beautiful. So I sat there and I just listened to the music of the blackbirds singing and the ospreys crying overhead and the alpine jays and the whir of insects, and smelled the forest around me and the lake and listened to the lapping of the lake. Oh my gosh, it was total ecstasy. And I really appreciated that I had time to slow down and just sit and listen. You can hear the birds singing right now. It's such an amazing place. I also met another woman who came to launch from the dock, and she told me about a few different hikes in the area, which I had planned on taking and I forgot to research. And so I was so grateful for that information. And she said, "Gosh, why don't you come and take our campsite tomorrow, because it's a first come, first serve, and we only had one night reserved. And after that, the campground was full." So I said, "Sure, that'd be great." And in fact, the next day we had an amazing lunch with her and her husband. It was incredible. I brought some pesto from home from my garden, and they were kind enough to bring out their camp stove, and so we could cook in quantity. It was so beautiful. Anyway, so I met her, and all of this happened, and I'm blissed out, and I am not waiting, right? I'm not sitting around waiting for my friend. I am literally, my cup is so full. And so when he pulled in, I was so ecstatic to show him everything, and he hadn't been to the lake before, so that was really, really fun. And we piled into our canoes as quick as we could and headed out there, and we're on the water, and I'm not kidding you. There's a whole bunch of canoes and paddleboards that came by at that point, and this double canoe, this tandem canoe, has this couple, and they've got this platter cutting board between them, and they said to me, "Sushi? Strawberries? Chocolate?" Oh my gosh, I thought they were kidding at first, but I turned around and came back and they said, "No, really, we're serving tonight." And so they handed me 2 beautiful strawberries and a few pieces of beautiful imported chocolate with sea salt caramel in the middle on their paddle across. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And my friend got a piece of sushi. Just an exquisite time, and the sun is just beginning to set, and so we go out to our campsite, and we prioritize setting up camp and getting him some food, and then we went to hang our bags in the tree that had our food in it. And this was a new thing for me, and I'd watched a YouTube, because I used to backpack with Seda, and Seda always did that part. So I had planned on learning to do it on my own. And on this video I watched, which was a great video, it showed 3 different ways of doing it. And I watched 2 of the 3. The third one was if you couldn't find a tree with an appropriate limb to hang from. Turned out it would have been really helpful if I had watched that. And so, gosh, so far I've already had these opportunities, like the juncture that could have gone sideways with my friend not arriving at the time that he'd planned on it, and then and me having to find a way to work with that. And then now we're hanging these bear bags, and I don't have all the information I need. And my dear friend has been like awake since 3 o'clock in the morning, so he really needs to just go to bed. And I really want to figure out how to do the bear bag thing anyway. I'm motivated. So we watched the moon rise together, also incredibly beautiful. Talk about awe and wonder. So the things that I primed for just coming through so effervescently. And then he heads to bed, and I've got this 100 new feet of cord, which has already gotten into a tangle, and I'm just cracking up at the tangle that this is in, and I'm trying to figure out how to hang my bag. And we've agreed that if we hung both bags off of the same line, then it would probably fall down. So his bag's already there. So I hang my bag. It's really the only proper place to hang a bag so that the bears couldn't get it. So I hang my bag from that line, but I support it by tying it off to another tree. But that's not quite enough support. And so I tie it a different direction to another tree as well. And that's not quite enough either, because they're kind of like sliding. And so I do another like 3 trees, and pretty soon it looks like Charlotte's Web with the bear bags in the middle. And I'm sure this is completely not the way it's supposed to be done. And probably if a bear stumbled into that area, he would have taken the whole thing down. And I would have felt really awful on lots of levels, because that's not a good thing to feed the bears. And I was just hoping that I would be forgiven that night. But at the same time, I'm laughing the entire time. And I'm tying these knots. Seda knows every knot in the world. I'm like tying these kind of slip knot things that have pieces coming through, and I'm shoving sticks in the middle, and so that it can't make it through. I'm like tying things off, and I have to hold it with this elbow while I'm reaching across to be able to adjust this so that the whole bag doesn't come flying down. And it was hilarious and insane. And also, before I went to tie my bear bag, I had looked everywhere for my toiletries bag, because you want to make sure that those get in the bear bag as well, because toothpaste tastes like, the center of a peppermint patty to a bear. And so I had wanted to get that up there, couldn't find it. So one thing that was amazing and unexpected was, as I'm putting these up, and this is some distance from our campsite, it occurs to me that I'm not scared. And usually when I'm by myself out in the dark and wild place, I am nervous about being by myself, and I'm nervous about bears and cougar and blah, blah, blah. And this time I'm just having so much fun. So again, the momentum, the feelings of goodwill, goodness, of awe and wonder, of fun that have been bringing me through have made it so that I didn't even have a juncture when it came to the point of realizing that I wasn't properly educated to be hanging this bear bag, and it's my responsibility. And so, I'm making the most of what I've got, and gosh, what an amazing, powerful moment that was. So here I am continuing on the momentum of being in the receiving mode. I get back to my tent, and I kid you not, I open the bag where my pillow is, and there's my toiletries bag. Perfect. So I at that point, I was not going to take down that bag. So and it took me like over an hour to hang it. And so, like maybe an hour and a half. And so I took that toiletries bag and I ran up the hill, and I found a tree, and I just kind of shoved it up high in a tree and hoped that was good enough. And then I went to bed, and I spent a lot of time meditating through the night as I was trying to sleep, because I realized halfway through the night that one of the kids had taken the tent camping and they'd spilled like coconut oil in it. And it suddenly occurred to me that that was probably the thing that smelled most delicious. I probably smelled like an Almond Joy in a wrapper. So then I was really nervous about bears. The beauty of all of this is that the next night, when I would be camping by myself in this location, the fact that, and by the way, I primed myself that none of that, I had a mental rehearsal that I would wake up and find the bear bags intact, and I would find my toiletries intact. So I put that good vibe out into the universe as well, placing my attention on it. I had a lot of time to meditate on it through the night, as I said. But the next night that I went camping by myself, I was pretty sure that there were not bears actively foraging around in our area, because they would have probably found my toiletries, my tent, or my bear bag. So really grateful for that. So thinking about staying in the receiving mode, or it's not even so much staying, but returning to the receiving mode over and over. Such an amazing thing. And the pieces that really helped for me were priming myself initially to experience those needs as fully met, just the full abundance of that energy flowing through me. And so that I was more likely to witness that in the world. There are definitely studies around priming that show that when people are priming themselves to a feeling that feels good, they see more of the things if they're shown a picture, they see way more in the picture than somebody who is primed to feel bad. It's the different parts of our brain that we use when we feel different things. So very important. So that was one piece. Another piece was moving my attention to something where my needs were met, rather than following with thoughts down the road of where my needs weren't met. And then finally, I didn't really even have to do any adjustment when it got to the time of hanging the bear bag, because I literally was making use of the momentum of positivity that was flowing through me, and the trust that I had developed from the time that I started priming, and which paid off through the day. I could see these different times that it had paid off. And my needs were met in amazing ways, coming out of the unknown in so many unexpected ways. So lots of skills, lots of will. I know you can do it too. Everybody has this capacity to do. Come visit me at Collier Connections if you want more information on a class I teach called Core Alignment with Joy. There's that series, which is recorded now. And then once you've watched that, if you have an interest in watching that goes into some of these skills that I'm talking about, then join our Joy Weekly class, because we have a group of amazing people from all over the world that are deep in these exercises, and their joy is expanding in their work and their family, personally, in every way. They are becoming more and more the person that they see themselves being in the world. So come and join us. It would be great to have you there. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one, or in the void. Take care.